What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Black Desert video. So today I wanted to go back and try one of the older Edania spots that I don't really have too much practice in. It is Aetherion Castle. So a lot of people asked, is this possible to do? Is it better than Orzekia? And I think the answer is no, according to Garmoth, but I think it really depends on accessory drops here. So anyway, with that said, I wanted to maybe do like 1 or 2 cycles just to see what it's all about and maybe show people how the mechanics work in general. So I will be admittedly a little bit overcapped for this spot, but the idea is to show you what it's like to see if you can do it yourself. So, yeah, so looking at Aetherion, the effective is a little under 1600, 1595. I think if you are like 1540 to 1550, you could probably do it under the cap, but you know, ideally you want to be green number good. So yeah, let's do a few cycles and show you what it's all about. Also, I purposely am doing this a little bit at nighttime because this spot will blind someone, and admittedly it's a very bright, and I'm surprised no one has had a seizure in this one. So anyway, I believe this is a stun CC spot. So what you're going to want to do is look here, and it's stun, stiffness, freezing. So if you have any resist crystals, this is what I'm going to be using. If you are not overcapped, what you want to do is probably just push more damage, like, you know, this one or straight Edania stuff as much as you can. For me, admittedly, I'll be using extra attack cast speed and a little bit more defensives and BSR crystals for this one, and I'll be fine. But anyone else, just use max damage. So with that said, what else am I going to use? Deep Seas, regular Edanias, and then the usual stuff. So let's do like let's do like 2 cycles and see how this works. So basically, the way my understanding of this is just doing a bunch of waves, and then you turn into the ball form thingy, and then you just get free trash loot. Then you fight the boss and repeat. Average tower spot. So yeah, just warning in advance. There's a lot of flashy lights and everything. So if you're watching this in like 4K during the daytime and it's like super bright, if you're grinding here, that's the problem. The one thing that I'm not 100% sure on is, like, you know, the spot where you turn into the ball form, right? You can't iframe it, and or you'll actually miss the thing. Oh yeah, I should probably turn on my loot scroll. That's pretty good. Also, this is interesting to see benchmark. Usually I do this off recording and just like test FPS and all the temperatures, but I kind of figured this spot would be higher than usual, at least for me, just because like everything is happening. FPS is lower, 4K. I guess like, you really need your pets on agile here. Like, you just really stand in one spot and they just kind of loot. But yeah, it's just a bunch of waves, and I kind of want to see how are the accessory drops going. That's the Sage Rift thingy. The FPS is not great. All these particle flying colors effects. Don't get hit. Sometimes I wonder, is it actually better to unlock your BSR? Because most classes lock it, but for this bot in particular. Primordial Fragment. I'm convinced those primordial fragments are the biggest like scam. If you get them, just vendor it. If you need the thing to upgrade, well, I'm convinced you can just get it easier by grinding and doing something else and not going for those. Literally go fishing or something and you'll get more value. One thing I might actually do after like 1 or 2 cycles here is go to Nymphamare and just more or less compare a little bit. We should be getting very close to fall phase soon. cycles do people get an hour? Like, I actually have no idea. I didn't grind this spot enough. When Edania came out, I basically started with Nymphamare. And then I just did this for the sake of doing it. Wait, this music? It kinda sounds like down in Valencia in the middle of the desert. Okay, so this is ball phase, and you just do infinite damage. You run around in a circle, getting free loot. Easy. This is the fun part of the... like, all the other tower spots in Edania, you just stand there. This is the fun part. You actually feel something. Yeah, just don't get hit by that. Okay, so I am pretty sure that is the end of this cycle. And that's basically Aetherion. Okay, so next we are going to be trying Nymphamare, and just to compare it. But for one cycle, let's see, around, let me pull out the calculator real quick. Okay, so 2142. Admittedly, this is a little bit less because I forgot my loot scroll for the first like minute or two. So we'll just times, how much is this worth? 105,640. That's a weird number. Let's just, I know it's not accurate, but at minimum, like probably around 200 and maybe 40 to 50 mil. And then you get a bunch of these. If you get an accessory, that's a bonus too. All right, so let's go to Nymphamare and let's compare like one cycle. So stun stiffness, that's the same thing. And I think if you could do Nymphamare, I'd recommend it, just because you start getting the bond crystal early on for Edania and then you move up from there. Whereas here, like, I feel like from what people have said, the wand crystal doesn't drop as frequently, whereas you kind of get this more. I don't know. I don't have enough data for that. But with that said, going to the next spot. Also, I just want to save people from oh my god, let's not stare at that. Holy. This is what's wrong with remastered. Things are either too bright or too dark. I feel like I'm not going the right way. All right, so Nymphamare. Let's see, is there any? There's probably a lot of spots open. Do people still grind here? Yeah, they're open. I mean, oh, that one's not. Let me go to this one. Sure, why not? All right, spot number 2. So the way this spot works is it really does feel more of a tower, just because Like things, just think of a triangle, and every point there's 3 different waves, and you just keep cycling through those. I wish I had Witch or Guardian level AoEs. This would be a lot better. Holy FPS tanks. I've always had that problem, even back in the day. There was always one enemy that stayed alive, and it was usually the Trickster every time, if I remember correctly. You watch my old videos when I did this when Edania first came out. That's also another thing that annoyed me. The invincibility for second 1-day spawn. Also, if we don't get any accessories, or even if we do, we don't count them in trash loot total per cycle. Okay. Okay, so the way this mechanic works in the contamination, you see this buff over here? You take a dot, and then if you leave those contamination thingies up, they change colors and you take more damage per second. So it's ideally you want to keep it under yellow, I believe, the one that's like 250, because your auto pot will basically heal through it. So, but lower better. I also don't remember how many cycles you super Nymphamare one either. In a while. All I know is Orbita, you can get probably like 5 or 6. Same with Tenebrom and Zephyros if you meet gear caps. In theory, you can do those. Tenebrom is probably like 6. Orbita maybe 5? I don't remember. I'll test that another day. I can show you what happens if you leave it up, like the contamination thing. It just gets pretty bad. The yellow is 350. I think red is like 550 or something, or 450. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, highest one is 450, I believe. It's only really a danger if you're under geared, because your potion is not auto healing this as fast. Ooh, a bond crystal. The worst of the 4 debos you can get, but I mean, free money, I guess. I think the only way to cleanse it down back to like 150 or blue is getting to the boss. Once it's already like red and maximum, you just have to wait till the boss, and then that clears it. This place isn't too bad to do at nighttime either. The ones that kind of get scary at night are probably Zephyros being the high-end one. Orbita is a little bit tricky. Tenebrum or... Yeah, Tenebrum's not too bad, honestly. I think Orbita and Zephyros are the scary ones to do at nighttime. Boss time. This boss, though, he kind of hits hard, though, so just keep that in mind. So what you do after this is you jump to the top. Basically attack the bubble. And then jump back down. You'll see fish. They don't attack you or anything. And that's basically free loot. The one thing I don't really like about this spot, though, is the fact that things have a lot of invincibility frames. See, like right here, they should just be attackable. People will get more trash loot, even if it's a little bit, just a little bit more. Once you see that message, basically they're ending. So yeah, that was the cycle for Nymphamare. And let's pull out the calculator. So Aetherion, one cycle. Obviously it depends on how fast you do it, but 2866 times, how much is this worth? 116,220. Wait, 116,200. So about like 50 to 80 mil more, depending, maybe 100 mil, depending on how fast you do it. And yeah, that's Nymphamare. We'll do. I want to do all 5 of them, but how do I want to break it down? Do I want to break it down into 2 parts, or we could just do Orbita? We'll just do Orbita now, to be honest. No, let me see. Hold on. Orbita is knockdown bound. Orbit is still 1800, right? Yep, 1800. All right, we'll do one more, and then we'll save the other 2 for part 2 later. It is probably gonna take me to some scuffed route. Jimmy online. Can we just party with him and telescope to him? All right, we'll do one more, and then we'll save Tenebrum and Zephyros for part 2. I feel like I shouldn't have taken the auto path, because this is like a weird way. Let me just find a spot that's open. Are we even near there? Oh, what is this? Hello, hold on. Knowledge. Pause. We got knowledge. Let's go. Bro, I already had... I have all the energy in Edania. I'm just surprised. Yeah, we're not doing Tenebrom. We'll do Tenebrom in part 2. I do like how the sky just changes colors like that. It's pretty cool. What spot in Orbita do I want to do? There's ones that I like more than the others, but we'll just see which one is open first. I'll go to the ones that I like doing more first. Let's see if those spots are open. One open. All right, 2. Let me just make sure I got everything. Pretty sure I just changed it. Orbita is knockdown. 1800 over the cap. Check. Do it. So, Orbita, if you don't... This is probably the top XP in the game. And the way it works is... You basically see these glowy light pillars. You get them in order. There's 2 different sets or phases. Light towers versus dark towers. And then I feel like in this spot you could still get bursted down really quickly no matter how much gear you have. And you just go to the next spot. From the second tower and on is where you see a golem. Obviously try not to get hit by the golem too much. It kind of hurts. It's gonna do a burst and that just means you get out. So this is the tower that I like doing the most, even back in the day when I was at the gear cap or barely above it or slightly under. Just because the towers seem closer, and I guess it depends on what class you play. Like if you're a big AoE class like Witch, Wizard, Guardian, you're grinding here, you could probably try the more open spots, but this one for me was always nice. So after this, you just fight a bunch of waves, and then this like middle tower, you see how we killed the light ones? It'll do a dark one afterwards. Back in the day, we all had to grind out our end times. Now and nowadays, you can just buy them off the market. Okay, so you see how this is now red, or the darker ones? The newer tower is open. You have to pop the other 3. Usually you save EZ buff, X, and everything toward the second pillar and on, but at least that's how I know it. You see, you get this buff, and it gives you damage and attack speed. Second phase is a little bit harder. Well, I guess it used to give a debuff. Nowadays it's fixed and no longer. Watch out for the golem slam. If you can't get the thing before the golem explodes, just kind of get out of the circle. It's not really a big deal. You lose a little bit of trash loot, but you know, that thing hurts a lot. So after you pop all 6 towers, you kind of just want to stand, you know, wherever, do something. You have downtime until the waves spawn. Like what Jimmy does when we talked about that in his interview. He literally just goes gathers the random plants around the side, so just do something. There's a few waves and then we get Titan, which is the boss of the cycle. Titan should spawn very shortly. Saving my Z and E. Oh. Oh, wait, we have a few more waves than Titan. Okay. So this is the part that's kind of important to keep on top of. If they overwhelm you and there's just too many enemies, it gets kind of tricky to speed run the boss down, so just keep that in mind. Try not to let too many of them up. Once you see the notification, that is. Most people who are just trying this spot out for the first time, just know this does hurt. I could face tank a few things, but I would not recommend most people doing it. All right, well, that was the cycle. So basically with that, we just wait the 2 minutes and repeat that. So we'll calculate the trash loot after this is over. On stone box 100 to 5,000. Bat 100. Let's go, boys. Good luck to everyone on the Cronstone box, by the way. Hope you all get to 5,000. That's huge. What do we get, by the way? What do we get tomorrow? 1 to 30 day comma book. That's good. By the way, in case you guys are wondering what all the choices I made, literally the ambitious path for literally everything that we chose. So we live for the gamble. We're BDO players. YOLO. Apparently that was a huge controversy, by the way. Some people are like, just get the easy one. I'm like, no, we RNG in this game, you're BDO players. You know, with all the paint boxes that we got, I think the most important one that for me would be having another archaeologist map for my fisher. All right, let's calculate everything. Calculator. 2804 times 140, 600. That's slightly better than Nymphamare with the higher gear cap. So, like, to give you an idea, Orbita around 1770 to 1800. And then Nymphamare is a little bit under 1700, so that's a pretty big gap, I would say, for about like 60, 70 mil more. However, Orbita is better just because, you know, like it gives a lot more XP. It's just an overall better spot across the board. But in terms of silver, it's not really much more if you compare what we saw from Aetherion around like 250 mil to like 300-ish. It goes up by around 60, 70 mil per cycle. So I guess that was a good experiment in what we wanted to see. So anyway, with that said, thanks so much for watching. Maybe we'll do a part 2. We'll do Tenebrum and Zephyros. I have a lot of hours in both of those spots, so we'll do that next time. And I will see you guys tomorrow. We burned a bunch of pots for no reason today. Let's go. Anyway, see you guys later. Peace.